Good morning, students. Welcome to Class 10, English Reader, Chapter 10, The Sermon at Benares, written by Betty Renshaw. Introduction. The Sermon at Benares is an essay with two distinct parts. The first part, biological in nature. It gives the first phase of Prince Siddhartha's life that was lived in luxury. It also includes his encounter with the sufferings of human life. The second part brings out the enlightened state of Gautama Buddha, where he teaches Kisa Gautami and the world at large how to overcome grief and suffering. This part is the actual sermon at Benares. Summary. Gautama Buddha, called Prince Siddhartha, lived the first phase of his life in luxury. He had his schooling, got married, had a son, and lived a royalty with his family. However, at the age of 25, he renounced his palace, family, and all possessions, and went into the world in search of enlightenment, after an encounter with the sufferings of the world in the form of sickness, old age, death, and a monk begging for alms. After 7 long years, he sat under a peepal tree, resolving to get up only after achieving enlightenment. In a span of 7 days, he got enlightened, and he moved on to impart his knowledge to the world. To alleviate the sufferings of mankind, Buddha gave his first sermon at Benares. This sermon reflects his deep insight and wisdom. It was given by Buddha to Kisa Gautami, not through a long discourse, but through a personal experience that left an indelible impact on the young mother who had lost her son. Unable to reconcile to the death of her only son, Kisa ran from house to house, asking people to give some medicine to revive the dead child. All the neighbors could offer her nothing but pity. However, one man directed her to Sakyamuni, the Buddha, assuring her that only he could be of help to her under the circumstances. Kisa Gautami approached Buddha, who directed her to get a handful of mustard seed from where no near and dear one had ever died. Kisa again went house to house. Everyone was ready to provide her with a handful of mustard seed, but she found no house where no beloved had ever died. At last, she realized that death was common to all. She also became aware of the fact that she had been selfish in her grief. She reconciled to her child's death and concluded that one could be led to immortality only by surrendering all selfishness. Buddha declared that death is inevitable for all mortals, wise or foolish, young and old. Every single being is subject to death. Peace of mind and bliss come when one gets over lamentation and sorrow. Theme. The theme of the account, the Sermon of Benares, is that death is inevitable. Anything that comes to this world is bound to perish. It reflects Buddha's wisdom, and he brings home the point that the principle of appearing and finally disappearing applies to every phase of life. The light that brightens must be consumed by darkness. In sum, everything in this world is subject to decay. Message. The message that the extract gives its readers is that life is full of suffering, physical as well as mental, and sooner or later one is bound to become aware of them. It also brings home the idea that death is inevitable and one must submit to it. If one wants to rise above the life of frustration, one must shed all selfishness. The sermon also teaches us that it is futile to grieve over the departed ones. Grief makes one sick, and lamentations are never able to save the dead or bring them back. In order to be blessed, one must keep oneself free from sorrow. Thank you.